Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. I'm your host Rob. This video we're going to get back into the Fantasy Battle Simulation series, and this one we're going to do Darth Sidious from Star Wars versus Dark Lord Sauron from The Lord of the Rings. Okay guys, welcome back. So, Dark Lord Sauron and Darth Sidious. Probably a match that is a lot closer than people would think. You know, when you think about these two characters, the first thing you think about is their abilities, which both, to me, are very magic-based. The only difference between the two is that one takes place in a very futuristic, high technological advancement kind of world, where the other one is more fantasy-based and more medieval fantasy world. However, both have abilities that are very similar, just from a different premise. Obviously, Darth Sidious using the dark side of the Force to manipulate lightning, to do telekinesis, and things of that nature, and uses mental ability to manipulate and bend people to his will. Where Dark Lord Sauron is not too different. Using his dark magic abilities to also manipulate people, practice dark magic like, necromancy, and also wield a powerful ring that he crafted, and should be a very interesting battle. So let's take a look first here at Darth Sidious. A long rise to the top this character took. When you think back to his time as a chancellor and as a politician, to rising to the top of the empire and ruling the galaxy with none other than his herald, Darth Vader. Now, Darth Sidious has multiple talents and powers, and he wields the dark side of the Force. He has the dark lightning, which he nearly killed Luke Skywalker with. Very rarely in the you could say the first trilogy, but the second half of the story. The movies that came out in the 70s, we barely saw him. He made his debut in Empire Strikes Back, played a more pivotal role in Return of the Jedi, but never actually wielded his lightsaber. However, we did see the extent of his power in terms of his Force lightning, and very powerful ability that if it strikes somebody for a long period of time, can kill them. We also know that along with these powers, he obviously has the ability to use telekinesis to move objects, hurl objects at people and things of that nature. And after watching the first trilogy, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, we know that he's very adept at using a lightsaber. So let's look at some of the powers we're going to give him for this fight. Now, from long range, I see no reason not to give him the ability to use that dark side or the Force telekinesis throw, where he can pick up any item with his mind, even while fighting, and hurl them at his opponents, whether it be, any kind of solid object, sharp object, whatever the case may be, to gain an advantage during a melee fight with his opponent. So that will be his long-range attack, will be telekinesis. His mid-range attack, we're going to go with that lethal Force lightning, which he is going to use at a closer range than if he was at a further distance from his opponent, and he will utilize this power at that point in time. And then for his close-range attack, none other than his lightsaber. He will wield his lightsaber in battle and fight to the death, wielding the very weapon of a Jedi and a Sith. Now, Sidious obviously has other dimensions about his character that make him such an appealing villain. And while we can't utilize those things in the fantasy battle because we're subjected to only 3 categories, and each category using 1 weapon, we know that as a character, he's very evil, very coercive, and when you look at the series, even from The Phantom Menace all the way to Return of the Jedi, obviously he did a lot of political actions as well as many things behind the scenes to rise to the top of the Empire and rule the universe for quite some time. So Darth Sidious, we're going to go with telekinesis, lightning, and his lightsaber. Those will be his three powers that he's going to rely on for this battle. And we're going to move on to Dark Lord Sauron. Now, Lord Sauron is a powerful enemy. Just to give you an example, I mean, Middle-earth came from one haymaker away from being ruled by this man, or this creature, entity, whatever you want to consider him. And if it weren't for his finger getting chopped off, I think things would have turned out pretty differently. Now, Sauron, not only is he a very powerful, physically imposing villain, but he's got powers beyond most of what we've actually seen in the movie. When you look at his lore, one of the things they mentioned was, and I quote, "The extent and nature and specifics of Sauron's power are largely left to the imagination, but he was capable of altering the physical substance of the world around him by mere effort and will." So when you look at it like that, and this is coming from the Lord of the Rings lore on Sauron, that is probably power that even Darth Sidious might be close to having, but you never actually see something like that. Furthermore, he crafted obviously the One Ring, and he also manipulated the elves and the humans into crafting rings of power for their own. At the time, they didn't know that those Ring of Powers were going to serve a purpose of evil, and when they found out, obviously it was too late. Now, Sauron rules an army of orcs. He's got a powerful mace. He's got the One Ring, and he's also got dark magic, as he was also, many of you know, disguised as a necromancer for the time being, as he was regaining his power and trying to plot on the men of Middle-earth. So, in terms of his attacks, we're going to utilize this physical substance of the world, altering it, and we're going to use that for his long-range attack. This would be a pretty good countermeasure to Darth Sidious' telekinesis, but also give Sauron a very similar effect and ability to do the same to Sidious. So that should be interesting to see how that long-range battle turns out. For mid-range, we're going to give him the ability to use his dark magic, to use his necromancer magic. And we're not going to talk about raising the dead and things like that. I mean, there are many different elements that are the premise of dark magic, whether it's hexing somebody, poisoning them, causing disease, causing pestilence. Now, this would be interesting because much like the long-range power for Sauron serves as a bit of a countermeasure, Darth Sidious, being a Dark Lord himself and embracing evil and dark magic, might have some sort of resistance to this kind of magic that Sauron's going to use. So that also makes it kind of even, because if Sauron can countermeasure defensively the telekinesis of Sidious, then it's only fair that Sidious has a countermeasure to Sauron's dark magic. So with that said, they both are going to get obviously some bonuses on both ends of the spectrum for those two attacks, but also I'm not going to make it so that they're completely immune. They are going to have some vulnerability to both attacks, going with the long range and the mid range, and I'll let the simulator decide just who happens to resist better than the other. And then finally, for short range attack, I mean, I think it's quite obvious. Darth Sidious lightsaber versus the Mondo mace wielded by Dark Lord Sauron. And this mace he's going to wield while wearing the One Ring. Anybody's going to sit here and argue that the lightsaber can cut through metal, but this is not your average mace. This is a very powerful, magically enhanced mace that is not easily broken by anything, if it can even break at all. However, Darth Sidious in this case will be getting a speed bonus because he can move a lot faster, and he is more adept at using his lightsaber faster, where the giant mace wielded by Sauron, while a physically imposing character, does require quite a bit of oomph, is not nearly as fast as wielding a lightsaber, and for that, Darth Sidious will have a slight advantage in the melee in terms of the speed. So it should make for a very interesting match. Two of probably the most evil characters in cinema history facing off against each other. The simulator's got the numbers, the simulator has the weapons. We're going to throw it in, let the simulator do its magic. We're going to start the countdown, and let's check for the results.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Alright guys, and there it is. There is your winner. Dark Lord Sauron takes it pretty convincingly, 15-10. So let's look at the results here and the different range of attacks. So in the long range, Dark Lord Sauron actually won 10 times to Darth Sidious 6. Very, very interesting result in the long range. Now in the mid range, was a little bit closer. Lord Sauron defeated Darth Sidious 2-1, which means that his necromancer power outperformed the Force Lightning. However, Sidious did destroy Sauron once with the Force Lightning, so a little bit closer in the mid-range. And then finally in the short range, they were tied. 3-3. Very, very good battle. I can only imagine how that would take place if you could actually see it. But obviously, with Darth Sidious' speed, he was able to obviously get around and nail Sauron a couple of times. But the thing about Lord Sauron's mace is that it's so big, and he himself is so large, that he covers so much ground. And, you know, when you have somebody moving that slow but wielding something that big that covers such a great area of space versus something moving so fast, I mean, let's be honest, he probably landed a couple of haymakers and just nailed them. But, you know, overall, I think this kind of battle, realistically, would probably be more of a ranged fight between the two powers. Because, I mean, let's face it, they don't really have to melee each other. With the kind of power they wield, they're more than capable of deciding this fight from a mid-range to long-range perspective. But nonetheless, we gotta use every category. We gotta let the simulator crunch the numbers. I am a little surprised at the result. I thought either one of them could take the match. I didn't think there was any one favorite over the other. But I expected it to be a little bit closer than the end result. But hey, not gonna question the simulator. So Dark Lord Sauron is your victor. I want to thank you all for watching this fantasy battle simulation. And you can stay tuned for the next one coming up for the month of March, which is going to have Superman versus Son Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Take it easy, guys. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.